Mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says truth alone can give to the world the power of receiving and manifesting the divine love. With always our love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Book 4, The Book of Birth and Quest, Canto 3, The Call to the Quest, page 420. Again, the mighty yearning raised its flame, that as a perfect life on earth for men, and praise for certainty in the uncertain mind, and shadowless bliss for suffering human hearts, and truth embodied in an ignorant world, and Godhead divinizing mortal forms. A word that leaped from some far sky of thought, admitted by the cowled receiving scribe, traversed the echoing passages of his brain and left its stamp on the recording cells. O force compelled, faith-driven, earth-born race, O petty adventurers in an infinite world, and prisoners of a dwarf humanity, how long will you tread the circling tracks of mind around your little self and petty things? But not for a changeless littleness were you meant, not for vain repetition were you built. Out of the immortal substance you were made, your actions can be swift, revealing steps, your life a changeful mold for growing gods. A seer, a strong creator is within. The immaculate grandeur broods upon your days. Almighty powers are shut in nature's cells. A greater destiny waits you in your front. This transient earthly being, if he wills, can fit his acts to a transcendent scheme. He who now stares at the world with ignorant eyes, hardly from the inconscious night aroused, that looked at images and not at truth, can fill those orbs with an immortal's sight. Yet shall the Godhead grow within your hearts, you shall awake into the Spirit's air and feel the breaking walls of mortal mind, and hear the message which left life's heart dumb, and look through nature with sun-gazing lid, and blow your conch shells at the Eternal's gate. Auroville Inauguration Ceremony, 28 Feb 1968. The inauguration ceremony of Auroville took place on February 28, 1968, at the center of the future town. It was attended by more than 5,000 persons. The ceremony began with a welcome message by our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother also read out the Auroville Charter in French. She was present in her room at Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Pondicherry, and her voice was broadcast to Auroville by All India Radio. The Auroville Charter was then read out in 16 languages. During the reading, representatives from 24 Indian states and union territories and 124 countries placed a handful of soil from their homelands in a marble-clad urn near the center of Auroville. Welcome message by our Divine Mother. Greetings from Auroville to all men of goodwill are invited to Auroville. All those who thirst for progress and aspire for a higher and truer life. Our Divine Mother reads the Auroville Charter in English. First, Auroville belongs to nobody in particular. Auroville belongs to humanity as a whole. But to live in Auroville, one must be a living servitor of the divine consciousness. Second, Auroville will be the place of an unending education, of constant progress, and a youth that never ages. Third, Auroville wants to be the bridge between the past and the future, taking advantage of all discoveries from without and from within. Auroville will boldly spring towards future realizations. Fourth, Auroville will be a site of material and spiritual researchers for a living embodiment of an actual human unity. Our Divine Mother stated about Auroville and said, "Earth needs a place where men can live, away from all national rivalries, social conventions, self-contradictory moralities, and contending religions. A place where human beings, freed from all slavery to the past, can devote themselves wholly to the discovery and practice of the divine consciousness that is seeking to manifest." Auroville wants to be this place and offers itself to all who aspire to live the truth of tomorrow. Our Divine Mother stated on Jan 1967 and Feb 1968 about Auroville and stated, "At last, a place where one will be able to think only of the future. At last, a place where one will be able to think only of progressing and transcending oneself. At last, a place where one will be able to live in peace without conflicts and without rivalries of nations, religions, and ambitions. At last, a place where nothing will have the right to impose itself as the exclusive truth." Our Divine Mother states, our Divine Mother says, Auroville wishes to be the cradle of Superman. Auroville is the shelter built for all those who want to hasten towards a future of knowledge, peace and unity. Auroville is the ideal place for those who want to know the joy and liberation of no longer having any personal possessions. Benedictions, Auroville. On 8 September 1965, our Divine Mother stated Auroville wants to be a universal town where men and women of all countries are able to live in peace and progressive harmony above all creeds, all politics, and all nationalities. The purpose of Auroville is to realize human unity. Our Divine Mother states, Auroville should be at the service of truth beyond all social, political, and religious convictions. Auroville is the effort towards peace in sincerity and truth. The aims of Auroville: an effective human unity, peace upon earth. Auroville wants to be the first realization of human unity based on the teachings of Sri Aurobindo, where men of all countries would be at home. Auroville, the city at the service of truth. The symbol of Auroville. The dot at the center represents unity, the supreme. The inner circle represents the creation, the conception of the city. The petals represents the power of expression, realization. Our Divine Mother stated in 1968 on 21st March, "It seems to me that the very land of Auroville aspires." Is it true, sweet mother? Was the question. For this, our Divine Mother says, yes, the land itself has a consciousness, even though this consciousness is not intellectualized and cannot express itself. Our Divine Mother stated on 15th November 1970, the Matrimandir will be the soul of Auroville. The sooner the soul is there, the better it will be for everybody, and especially for the Aurovillians. There is only one Matrimandir, the Matrimandir of Auroville. The others must have another name. The Matrimandir wants to be the symbol of the divine's answer to man's aspiration for perfection, union with the divine manifesting in a progressive human unity. At the laying of the foundation of Matrimandir stone, our Divine Mother stated, let the Matrimandir be the living symbol of Auroville's aspiration for the divine. Beginning of Matrimandir construction, the fraternity of collaboration, the aspiration towards unity in joy and light. On 4th October 1971, our Divine Mother stated that Matrimandir is directly under the influence of the divine, and certainly he arranges things better than we could do ourselves. The vision and the soul. Beginning of the construction of the 4 pillars, let Auroville be the symbol of a progressive unity, and the best way to realize this is a unity of aspiration towards the divine perfection in work and in feeling, in a consecration of the entire life. Significance of the 4 pillars: North Mahakali, East Mahalakshmi, South Maheshwari, East Mahasaraswati. Significance of the 12 rooms: sincerity, humility, gratitude, perseverance, aspiration, receptivity, progress, courage, goodness, generosity, equality, peace. Significance of Matrimandir gardens: existence, consciousness, bliss, light, life, power, wealth, utility, progress, youth, harmony, perfection, unity. Let us all work with a growing sincerity for the manifestation of the divine truth, stated our Divine Mother on 3rd May 1972. Conception and birth, a dream. There should be somewhere upon earth a place that no nation could claim as its sole property, a place where all human beings of goodwill, sincere in their aspiration, could live freely as citizens of the world, obeying one single authority, that of the supreme truth, a place of peace, concord, harmony, where all the fighting instincts of man would be used exclusively to conquer the causes of his suffering and misery, to surmount his weakness and ignorance, to triumph over his limitations and incapacities, a place where the needs of the spirit and the care for progress would get precedence over the satisfaction of desires and passions, the seeking for pleasures and material enjoyments. In this place, says our Divine Mother, children would be able to grow and develop integrally without losing contact with their soul. Education would be given not with a view to passing examinations and getting certificates and posts, but for enriching the existing faculties and bringing forth new ones. In this place, styles and positions would be supplanted by opportunities to serve and organize. The needs of the body will be fulfilled for equality in the case of each and every one. In the general organization, intellectual, moral, and spiritual superiority will find expression not in the enhancement of the pleasures and powers of life, but in the increase of duties and responsibilities. Artistic beauty, which on its side would provide for each one's subsistence and for the field of his work. In brief, it would be a place where the relations among human beings, usually based almost exclusively upon competition and strife, would be replaced by relations of emulation for doing better, for collaboration, relations of real brotherhood. The earth is certainly not ready to realize such an ideal, for mankind does not yet possess the necessary knowledge to understand and accept it, or the indispensable conscious force to execute it. That is why I call it a dream, says our Divine Mother. Yet this dream is on the way to becoming a reality. That is exactly what we are seeking to do at the Sri Aurobindo Ashram on a small scale in proportion to our modest means. The achievement is indeed far from being perfect, but it is progressive. Little by little we advance towards our goal, which we hope one day we shall be able to hold up before the world as a practical and effective means of coming out of the present chaos in order to be born into a more true, more harmonious new life. New consciousness. Our Divine Mother says the city will be built by what is invisible to you. The men who have to act as instruments will do so despite themselves. They are only puppets in the hands of the larger forces. Nothing depends on human beings, neither the planning nor the execution, nothing. That is why one can laugh. These words were given in September 1969. Question, Sweet Mother, to what extent does the building of Auroville depend on man's acceptance of spirituality? For this, our Divine Mother says, the opposition between spirituality and material life, the division between the two has no meaning for me. For in truth, life and the spirit are one, and it is in and by physical work that the highest spirit must manifest. Humanity is not the last rung of terrestrial creation. Evolution continues and man will be surpassed. It is for each individual to know whether he wants to participate in the advent of this new species. For those who are satisfied with the world as it is, Auroville obviously has no reason to exist. To work for Auroville is to hasten the advent of a more harmonious future. Auroville, the free international city, no army, no police, they are replaced by a battalion of guards consisting of athletes and gymnasts. The night before last, I spent more than 3 hours with Sri Aurobindo, and I was showing him all that was about to come down for Auroville. It was quite interesting. There were games, there were art, there were even cooking, but all that was very symbolic. And as I was explaining to him, as if on a table in front of a vast landscape, I was explaining to him the principle on which the physical exercises and games were going to be organized. It was very clear, very precise. I was even giving him a kind of demonstration, and it was as if I was showing him in miniature, a miniature representation of what was going to be done. I was moving people and things about, and she gives a gesture as if on a chessboard. But it was very interesting, and he was very interested. He was giving broad lines of organization. There was art, it was beautiful, it was good. And how to make the houses pleasant and pretty. The principle of construction and then cooking. It was a lot of fun, each one bringing his invention. This lasted for more than 3 hours, 3 hours in the night. That's not very interesting. And yet conditions on earth seem very far away from all that. And then our Divine Mother, after some hesitation, says, no, it was right there. It did not seem behind things, a conscious harmony behind the exercises and games, a conscious harmony behind the decoration, the art, a conscious harmony behind the food. I mean that all this seems to be the opposite pole to what exists now on earth. Then the task of giving a concrete form to Sri Aurobindo's vision was entrusted to the mother. The creation of a new world, a new humanity, a new society, expressing and embodying the new consciousness is the work she has undertaken. By the very nature of things, it is a collective ideal that calls for a collective effort so that it may be realized in terms of an integral human perfection. The ashram, founded and built by the Divine Mother, was the first step towards the accomplishment of this goal. The project of Auroville is the next step, more exterior, which seeks to widen the base of this attempt to establish harmony between soul and body, spirit and nature, heaven and earth in the collective life of mankind. Question, Sweet Mother, what's the difference between ashram and Auroville? Our Divine Mother says the ashram will retain its true role of pioneer, inspirer, and guide. Auroville is the attempt towards collective realization. Question, what is the fundamental difference between the ideal of ashram and the ideal of Auroville? For this, our Divine Mother says there is no fundamental difference in the attitude towards the future and the service of the divine, but the people in the ashram are considered to have consecrated their lives to yoga, whereas in Auroville, simply the goodwill to have a more collective experiment for the progress of humanity is sufficient to gain admittance. Question, is Auroville the only solution to the misery of mankind and the disorders of the society? For this, our Divine Mother says, not the only solution. It is a center of transformation, a small nucleus of men who are transforming themselves, setting an example to the world. This is what Auroville hopes to be. As long as egoism and bad will exists in the world, a general transformation is impossible, says our Divine Mother.